It is mailbag time here on the Ravens Rundown. Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us. And you may be wondering, how do I get involved in these mailbags? Well, this one here comes courtesy of our live show that we bring you now each and every other Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. But if you subscribe to the channel, then you can send your questions in, whether it's through the community tab or on the live show, either way, and we'll answer your questions. Whatever you have about your Baltimore Ravens, what do you want to know? Well, we're here to answer those questions for you. Use the hashtag Ravens Super Chat to be a part of the live mailbags, and we'll get to your questions. So let's go ahead and get started. The first question in the mailbag this week, hashtag Ravens, what do you think the Ravens need to do to improve their offense? Well, for me, when I look at this Ravens team, you have what I believe in Lamar Jackson is a franchise quarterback. I would still keep Lamar and pay him the money it takes to keep him in town. That's priority number one. And then number two, I look at you have your running backs with J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards and company. You have your tight ends with Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, Charlie Kolar. Those guys are really good. But you need help at the receiver spot. I'll be honest, when Demarcus Robinson is leading your team in receiving among wide receivers, that's a problem. And I know some of you are going to say, well, Rashad Bateman was hurt. That's true. You're not wrong about that. But that's not good enough. You need help beyond just Rashad Bateman. Got to get more receivers. To me, that'll go a long ways. And I know some of you are saying to yourselves, well, this offense isn't suited for the wide receiver position. Well, that was the old offense under Greg Roman. I would expect that whoever the new offensive coordinator is for the Ravens, they are going to have to air it out a whole lot more and throw the football and use those receivers as much as they can. So that, to me, that's what I'm looking for this receiving core to improve and to get more involved. Next question from Hopper wants to know, should we trade back in draft Flowers? Trading back, you're already at 22. To me, what I'm looking at, if I'm trading back and you're already late within the draft, you better be getting a king's ransom of some sorts with that selection. You better be in a position where you are getting a pretty good trade package that you can't refuse. I like the idea of trading back when you are early on in the draft and you can still get another first-round pick potentially and maybe stockpile a pick for next year. But for me, it's got to be an offer that you can't refuse of some sorts if you find yourself trading back when you're already at 22. Stakes Subs writes, hashtag Ravens, if Lamar is traded and the Ravens have to draft a quarterback, who should it be? Well, let's think about this with this Ravens team in this situation, okay? So the Ravens currently are at 22. And if, let's say, for all intents and purposes, if you don't get a first-round pick in the trades this year, or at least one that's higher than you're drafting, if that's your highest first-round pick, there might not be actually any top quarterbacks left by the time you draft at 22. So let's take it a step further. Let's say that you trade Lamar and you end up with a, top 10 pick of sorts. Then it's Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, or Will Levis. To me, that's my personal power rankings, is Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, or Will Levis. But it's hard to imagine a scenario where the Ravens trade Lamar and then trade into a position where Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud are then still around. To me, I think realistically, you're looking at, okay, Will Levis, not my personal favorite compared to the other two, but I sure would take him over Anthony Richardson. That's, to me, my power ranking. If you're going to reset the clock when it comes to the quarterback position and move on from Lamar Jackson, my power ranking, I'm going Bryce Young 1, C.J. Stroud 2, Will Levis 3, and then a long gap down to Anthony Richardson as far as I'm concerned. That, to me, is what I'm looking at. If I'm the Ravens, That would be my hierarchy of sorts that I'm building upon when I'm looking at these quarterbacks potentially. So, I'll say this, I like Young and Stroud a whole lot more than I do the other two, but Will Levis, I think, would be the one where you're saying, okay, well, at least we didn't have to deal with Anthony Richardson. Put it that way. What about Will Levis? What do you think about the idea of him being the guy if the Ravens do end up moving on from Lamar Jackson? You like the idea of Will Levis taking over in Baltimore? If you do, type D for draft. If you don't like that idea, type P for pass. Let us know in the comments section. D for draft, P for pass, which way you leaning? Manuel writes, why not sign D-Hop or OBJ with the hashtag Ravens? Thank you for that question, Manuel. With D-Hop, you'd have to trade for him in that situation with where he's at. Obviously, he's not going to be a free agent and likely not cut. I've said for a long time I love the idea of potentially trading for DeAndre Hopkins. OBJ, he's a free agent. Obviously, he's been a free agent for a while. I'm okay with that idea, too, of potentially signing OBJ. Although both those guys are older receivers, D-Hop, you might have to give up a pretty significant amount. OBJ's not going to come cheap either. To me, Manuel, it's not a why not answer for me. I'm all in. I like the idea of bringing in either guy personally. So we'll see what they do. I think to fix this receiving room, you not only need to go young, but you need to get some veterans too. It's got to be a combination of sorts because this team, I don't think is far off from contending the AFC, but they got to get receiver help. Both guys, I would be in favor of bringing to town and getting the help you need potentially. Today's edition of the Ravens Rundown is sponsored by Fume. We all have bad habits, and we certainly know how hard they can be to kick those bad habits. Our sponsor, Fume, is on a mission to accelerate humanity's breakup from the bad habits that consume far too many of us. Fume is a natural diffusive device that uses plants and behavioral science to help you trade out your negative habit for a positive one. I didn't expect much out of Fume when I got it, but the minty sensation is really powerful and really hits the back of the throat. The Journey Pack comes with 3 unique flavors for you to enjoy: maple pepper, crisp mint, and white cranberry. Fume is not a vape. It's a non-electronic device designed to transform your negative habits. The easiest way to stop a bad habit is to switch to a positive one, and Fume is designed perfectly to do just that. Head to tryfume.com/chatsports. Use code chatsports to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. That's tryfum.com/chatsports. Use code chatsports to save an additional 10% off of your order today. Fume, one of our newest partners here at Chat Sports, and I got to tell you, it's a great deal. Go ahead and get yours now while supplies last. There's 3 unique flavors. You're going to love them. I can tell you that right now. Let's get back to the mailbag here. A few more questions. Walt writes in, hashtag Ravens. Would signing Lamar to a deal similar to Pat Mahomes free up the ability to sign a free agent wide receiver and draft one as well? Walt, that's a great question. I'll be honest, I'm not much of a cap guy when it comes to, figure out how the math works, making your money work for you, in the words of Dave Ramsey. But I'll say this. What we've seen, what Kansas City was able to do, they've already adjusted Patrick Mahomes' contract, even shortly after he signed, to create the flexibility to move, to be able to sign other guys potentially. And so with Lamar, you could defer some money down the line and try to make things flexible of some sorts potentially. But at the end of the day, it's still going to be a lot you pay Lamar. So maybe I don't have a definite answer on that, but I would guess that if you commit to Lamar, you are committing to going all in, that you're going to try to find ways to make your money work for you to bring in more talent to that receiving core, Walt, as far as I'm concerned. Lamar writes, oh man, we got a hater in here, a Falcon fan. This should be interesting. Who is the most likely team to land Lamar if he's traded? Honestly, I'm not trying to, make you feel good. I promise you that much. Lamar is a Falcon. But I would say the Atlanta Falcons are probably the most likely team because they have the most assets that they could potentially give up. You think about this. If you trade with Atlanta, you're getting him out of the AFC. That's a plus. And then, two, they have draft capital to deal with. They got young talent. They have even a young quarterback. You could still pull away not only some draft picks, but maybe a Drake London, a Kyle Pitts, a Desmond Ridder, somebody to that effect, potentially speaking, beyond just draft capital itself. So for me, Atlanta is the team that makes the most sense if a trade is going to go down. I still don't think a trade is going to happen, but at this point in time, Atlanta seems like the team that would be most likely to be able to bring in Lamar when it comes to the trade market. But the other part of that, too, is kind of like with the Deshaun Watson negotiations a year ago, what is the team willing to give the guaranteed money? We haven't heard exactly if the Falcons or the Raiders or who of these teams wants to step out and give the guaranteed money that Lamar wants. Something to think about there. Will Lamar Jackson play for the Ravens in 2023? John Harbaugh says there's a 200% chance that he will. What do you think? Will Lamar be a Raven? If you think he will, type Y for yes. If not, type in for no. Let us know in the comment section. Y for yes, in for no, if Lamar is back in Baltimore next year. Got time for a couple more questions here. Let's see what King has to say. Hashtag Ravens. Could you see the Ravens trading out of the, I think that's supposed to be draft, for a star wide receiver? Yeah, potentially. Potentially speaking, yeah, they very well could trade out of the draft and find a star receiver of some sorts. And it all comes down to paying. Here's the other thing, though, when we talked about paying. Remember, you've already paid Roquan Smith. And so is there enough money to go around, kind of like what we talked about in the last question, to pay Lamar and then potentially another receiver too? That's a lot, potentially. I could see the Ravens making a move of some sorts, but there are a lot of loopholes, a lot of things to work through before we potentially get to that point. Steven writes, hi, Steven. What should we do about Marcus Peters? Personally, I think it's time to move on from Marcus Peters. I have seen Marcus Peters his whole career. I remember his time back in Kansas City and you know, to what he did with the Rams, and now with the Ravens, and you know, he struggled with injuries. He's always been a boom or bust guy. He's either getting you the big plays, the interceptions, or he's giving up the big plays. And Marcus Peters, as he gets older, things are not going to get better for him. I think it's time now to look at your other options, whether it's in the draft or maybe it's free agency, whatever it is, and move on from Marcus Peters potentially. Look, like we've talked about earlier, there's not enough money to pay everybody. Marcus Peters, that number 2 spot, I think this is the time to move on and find somebody else potentially to fill that role for Marcus Peters there. Steven, nothing against Marcus Peters at all, but just at this point, I think it's time to move on from him. What do you say about that? Do you agree or disagree with that sentiment of bringing back Marcus Peters? I say no. I think he'd cost too much, and he's getting older, and he's dealt with injuries. What do you say? If you think they should re-sign Marcus Peters, type R for re-sign. If you think they should move on, type M for move on. Let us know in the comment section what do you think about that. Subscribe to the channel. We're doing these mailbags. We're covering the Ravens each and every day with news and rumors. We're counting down to the draft, also free agency, trades, and more. It's all in one place. If you love the Ravens, you got to subscribe. Doesn't cost you a thing. And we'll see you next time here on the Ravens Rundown.